All right, welcome back to KFYR Plus. And in a somewhat surprising turn of events last week, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration now will start to reclassify marijuana as a Schedule III drug. Now, this would mark the agency's first biggest policy change in more than 50 years. Now, here to help us understand a little more clearly is Jerry J-Man Joyner, an advocate for marijuana industry and a TV and podcast host. Welcome, J-Man.
Thanks for having me on today, Jay. And it's very good for us pro-cannabis people that the DEA has sent a proposal to reschedule from 1 to 3. One of the main things, Jay, that will help is many of the cannabis business suffer because they can't deduct ordinary business expenses. The IRS code 280E doesn't allow them to deduct rent, payroll, advertising on Weed and Whiskey TV, only their cost of goods. So this will help many of those businesses that have been suffering from a profitability standpoint. But we're a long way from the finish line on this.
Yeah, I bet. So is this the first step, J-Man, to maybe federally legalizing cannabis?
It could be. Right now, the proposal sent the next step, it goes to the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. And they've got 90 days to review this. Then it goes for 90 days for a review for public opinion. And then people have a chance to file lawsuits. So this kind of gets us past the upcoming election. What I find more interesting is right after they did this, Schumer and Cory Booker, those senators came out to reintroduce the Cannabis Administration. It's a long thing here, the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act that they initiated in 2022. And this is the first step to actually legalizing cannabis in the United States, taking it off the federal and letting the states deal with that.
So why do you think in your opinion now, the government is doing an about-face after a century of arresting people for marijuana? Is it the votes?
Hey, I'm one of them. I was arrested for having a couple of joints back in 1992. Most recent polls by Gannett, Pew, they say 70 to 80% of Americans are in favor of adult use for cannabis. So the winds of path have changed. And a lot of it has to do with the consumption of THC primarily is not smoking these joints and bongs and things anymore. People are drinking cannabis, they're eating gummies to get some sleep and some relaxation. And so we've seen a change in the way our public opinion about this is.
Sure, that's my next question. How do you think this could change the public's perception and attitudes towards cannabis going forward?
Well, it's changing every day as more and more people are finding the benefits of this plant. I'm a big believer in moderation, whatever it is that you're going to do. And most people don't know. They're in North Dakota. You have medical marijuana, but you don't have adult use or recreational marijuana from the regulated marijuana industry. But I'm pretty sure you can get Delta 9 gummies and drinks and a lot of corner stores there in your great state.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any specific criteria, J-Man, or guidelines that the government will consider if it decides to reclassify from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III?
What'll happen is it'll create a quagmire, Jay, in that now there's 15,000 dispensaries in the United States selling regulated marijuana. They will all now be classified as a pharmacy under the DEA and underneath their rules and regulations for a pharmacy, which is the guidelines are much more stringent for that, which means that it'll overload the DEA with more review of these facilities. It'll burden these businesses more. I'm not a big proponent of the rescheduling from 1 to 3, other than it helps the people with their tax expenses or being able to write off their expenses on their taxes. I'm a big proponent of let's legalize this. That'll help remove the black market. It's huge here in Texas. It's huge in every state. The black market for cannabis still exists, and it exceeds whatever you're selling in your state legally. And I believe, in my opinion, legalization on the federal level, just like we had with alcohol when prohibition was ended, will remove a whole lot of the illegal activities, which are where a lot of bad products come from.
How might this rescheduling of cannabis impact research efforts for its potential medical benefits?
Certainly, that's a great point that you bring up. And there's more and more things that are being done. You know, a big step was when the VA told our veterans that provide our freedom that, hey, we will not penalize you if you show up positive for THC in your system. A while back, that was a big issue with our veterans. If they were using cannabis for PTSD, anxiety, pain relief, they were subject to losing their military benefits. And the VA has really backed off of that. And we're seeing more and more research being done every day on the benefits and how to make sure people are using this properly. Nobody wants somebody out there high on cannabis driving around in their cars, exceeding a level no different than alcohol. And it's a problem for law enforcement to be able to know if that person is really intoxicated under cannabis or not. So a lot of things are happening with the laws changing.
J-Man, coming up this fall, you may not know it or you may, the state of North Dakota will have a ballot measure in November to legalize recreational usage. Now, it's failed twice before, but do you think this news could help proponents on this measure?
It might, Jay. One of the things that I've noticed is when they say recreational use, it doesn't pass as often as when they say adult use. And so I don't know if that'll have any bearing there in North Dakota. You're one of 4 states that are coming up to add possibly to the 24 states that now allow adult use. And we've got 38 states, plus all basically the districts, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, allowing medical marijuana. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. Are there any potential challenges or maybe concerns that could arise from this?
Sure, the dragging this out and allowing the black market to exist, I think, is the biggest problem that we have with cannabis in America today. It is a problem, Jay. There's products that look like it's a bag of Cheetos. It says Cheetos. It's a violation of Cheetos trademark. Mm-hmm. And so many of these things could be rectified with the legalization. Certainly, we all think that scheduling from 1 to 3 is a step. But it's just a small step, and it's kind of symbolic. I hope it's just not a political move with the election coming up, that we really try to do something and what the people in America want today.
Absolutely. How do you think this change could impact now the states where marijuana is already legalized?
Well, you've got a lot of cross-border activity. Here in Texas, we can go to Oklahoma. We can go to New Mexico. So I think we'll see more interstate commerce. There's a big problem, and if you grow it in one state, you can't sell it in another state. And so you may have an overabundance, but that other state may be lacking. So I think it would allow for the economies of scale to work better. But the key thing is it would allow for better, higher quality, safer products. I'm a big a proponent of making sure these things are safe. They've got a certificate of analysis that you can check to make sure really what you're getting, because folks, that is a problem out there. Be cautious when you're trying these edibles and other things. Make sure it's a reliable vendor and it's a safe product.
Yeah, absolutely. And one final question, J-Man. Would this allow, if it were to be federalized, to allow banks now to serve and do business with already existing dispensaries?
It would certainly help change those banking laws. First Citizens Bank has taken the lead on helping these hemp businesses, and they're one of the top 5 banks in the United States right now. But it has been a problem with the safety issues, because a lot of them have to just deal with cash. And so having regular business operations with banking and with expenses being deducted and all these things, I think we'll see the bad actors falling to the wayside and the stronger ones getting stronger.
Yeah. Well, Jerry J-Man Joyner, love the information, sir. TV podcast. So what's the name of the podcast once again so the viewers can maybe tune in?
Every Friday at 4:20, we drop a new episode of Weed and Whiskey News on Roku, Spotify, and weedandwhiskey.tv.
Love it. And I love that poster right behind you. I'm a Jimi Hendrix guy myself. Love me some Jimmy. Jerry J-Man Joyner, thank you, sir.
Anytime, Jay. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. It is now 12:39 here at the KFYR Plus News Desk. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back with more news headlines coming up next.